Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're plunging headfirst into the world of the hydrogen generator market.
Yeah, it's a fascinating space, and our guide for this is a market report from Cognitive Market Research.
Right, updated pretty recently, March 2025, so it gives us a really fresh look.
Exactly. So our mission really is to unpack this report
Pull out the key insights.
and help you understand where this clean energy tech stands now and, well, where it might be headed.
Okay, let's dive in. Where do we start? The big numbers.
Let's do it. The report kicks off with the global market size.
Okay.
For 2025, it's valued at USD 824.56 million.
824 million, okay. But the interesting part is usually the forecast, right?
Definitely. And here, the report projects it reaching USD 1,385.28 million by 2033.
Wow, okay, so that's quite a jump. Over 500 million more in, what, 8 years?
Yeah, it works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 6.70% between 2025 and 2033.
6.7%. So what does that really signal?
Well, it tells us this isn't some stagnant market. Not at all.
It's expected to grow steadily, consistently.
Exactly. Solid expansion over the next, nearly decade. Seems like it's really gaining traction.
All right, so if it's growing like that, what's pushing it? What are the drivers?
Good question. The report points to a couple of big ones.
I imagine clean energy is in there somewhere.
Absolutely. That's the first major driver, this huge global push for clean, sustainable energy solutions.
Makes sense. Governments, industries, everyone's trying to cut carbon emissions, meet climate goals.
Right. And hydrogen. It's seen as this really versatile, eco-friendly energy carrier.
For fuel cells, industrial use.
Precisely. Which leads to the second driver, expanding use in industrial sectors themselves.
Ah, okay. So existing industries needing more hydrogen.
Yeah, it's critical in oil refining. Think hydrocracking, desulfurization.
Key processes.
Very key. Also chemical production, like for ammonia and metallurgy. These sectors need reliable, high-purity hydrogen, and that need is growing.
Okay, so strong demand drivers. What about trends shaping the market within that growth?
Well, a really big trend is the rise of green hydrogen production.
Green hydrogen, meaning?
Meaning producing hydrogen using electrolysis, but crucially powering that electrolysis with renewables.
Solar, wind, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So it's seen as genuinely sustainable, carbon-free, and it's getting a lot of investment, a lot of policy support.
And is there another key trend?
Yes, the increasing demand for on-site hydrogen generation.
Making it right where you need it.
Pretty much. It cuts down on transport costs, storage headaches, just ensures a steady supply.
Makes sense for factories or, say, fueling stations.
Exactly. The report even gives a couple of examples. Panasonic, for instance.
What do they do?
They introduced a pure hydrogen fuel cell generator back in April 2024 for markets outside Japan, a clear push for fuel cell applications.
Interesting.
And there was a partnership between Kubota and Denyo. They worked on hydrogen engines for generators.
Aiming for what? Better fuel economy?
Yeah, fuel economy and portability, tying back to that on-site generation idea, but making it more practical.
Okay, so growth drivers, key trends.
Yeah.
Sounds promising. But they're usually bumps in the road, right? Any restraints mentioned?
Oh, for sure. The report is clear on the main challenge, the high initial capital investment.
The setup cost.
Exactly. Building the infrastructure, buying the equipment. It's expensive.
Especially, I guess, for the green hydrogen stuff. Electrolyzers.
You got it. Those often use pricey materials like platinum, iridium. So setting up those facilities costs a lot up front.
That sounds like a barrier, maybe for smaller companies.
Definitely. It can be tough for smaller players or even in developing regions. And tied to that is the lack of widespread hydrogen distribution and storage infrastructure currently.
Right, so even if you make it, moving it around or storing it is another hurdle.
Precisely. That cost plus the infrastructure gap. They can definitely restrain growth.
Okay, let's try and get a more granular view. How does the report break down this market? Segmentation.
Yeah, they slice it a few ways. First, by product type.
What are the types?
On-site and portable generators.
And who's leading?
The report suggests on-site holds the biggest share. Probably because it's more cost-effective for industries needing that continuous large supply.
Makes sense. But is that where the growth is?
Good question. No,
Okay.
The report actually flags portable as the fastest-growing segment.
Interesting. Why portable?
Versatility, mostly. Think off-grid power, backup systems, maybe even fueling portable devices or vehicles down the line. It suggests more flexibility, more accessibility.
Okay, product type. On-site leads, portable grows fastest. What's the next slice?
By process, how the hydrogen is actually made.
Yeah.
The main ones are steam reforming and electrolysis, plus an others category.
Steam reforming, that's the traditional way, often with natural gas.
Exactly. And because it's established, relatively cheap for large volumes, it currently holds the largest share.
But I'm guessing electrolysis is catching up, given the green hydrogen trend.
You nailed it. Electrolysis is highlighted as the rapidly expanding segment.
Driven by that demand for green hydrogen.
And just general improvements in the electrolysis technology itself, making it more viable.
Okay, what about application? Where's all this hydrogen going?
Various sectors: chemical processing, fuel cells, petroleum recovery, refining, and others.
Which one uses the most right now?
Petroleum recovery holds the largest market share.
Back to those refining processes we talked about.
Yep, hydrocracking, desulfurization, they need a lot of hydrogen.
But again, where's the fastest growth?
Let me guess.
Fuel cells.
Spot on. Fuel cells are tagged as the rapidly growing application sector.
Linked to transport, power generation.
Yeah,
That clean energy push again.
exactly. High efficiency, zero emissions at the point of use. It's very attractive.
Okay, one more segmentation.
Yep, by capacity share, basically the output power of the generators.
Like small, medium, large.
Sort of. They segment it from tiny, like 1W, up to 3 kW and above. The segment holding the largest share right now is 1 kilowatt to 3 kilobarium.
And where would you use those?
Maybe smaller industrial settings, labs, some fuel cell devices. They're kind of a sweet spot, efficient, cost-effective, relatively easy to install.
Okay, and the fastest growing. Must be the big ones, right?
Correct. The 3 kW and above category is the rapidly growing sector.
For the big industrial users. Refineries, chemical plants.
Yes, meeting those high volume demands, and also increasingly for things like heavy-duty transport and maybe even large-scale energy storage.
So if you pull all that segmentation together, what's the story it tells?
Well, it paints a really clear picture, I think. The current market, dominated by traditional large-scale industrial methods and uses on-site steam reforming, petroleum recovery,
But the future growth.
seems heavily pointed towards flexibility, clean energy, and maybe more distributed systems. Portable, electrolysis, fuel cells, and the really large capacity generators for new applications. It feels like a shift is underway.
Okay, let's zoom out again. How does this look geographically? Where's the action?
Right, the global picture. We said the total market is about 824 million USD in 2025.
And who holds the biggest piece of that pie?
North America holds a major share, actually over 40% of global revenue. That's about USD 305 million in 2025.
Wow, 40%. Why so dominant?
The report points to strong government support, big investments in infrastructure, and just advancements in green hydrogen tech there.
Mainly the U.S.
Yeah, the U.S. accounts for the lion's share, around 240 million. Canada and Mexico make up the rest, and it's growing at about 5.5% CAGR.
Okay, after North America, Europe.
Europe's also very significant, over 30% of global revenue, around USD 239 million in 2025.
And their growth rate.
Slightly higher, actually, at 5.8% CAGR. Germany and the UK are mentioned as key markets there.
So North America and Europe are the big players now. But where's the fastest growth happening?
That would be Asia Pacific. The report flags it as making really significant gains.
How fast?
A 9.5% CAGR, that's quite a bit higher. They hold about 23% share now, around USD 198 million, but they're closing the gap quickly.
What's driving that boom in Asia Pacific?
Big investments in renewables, a major push for green hydrogen.
Countries like China.
Japan.
Exactly. China's a huge part of it, over 83 million in 2025. Japan, South Korea too. And India is particularly noteworthy.
India? Why?
Their market is projected to grow at an 11.4% CAGR. Really rapid expansion there.
Wow. Okay, what about other regions? South America?
They hold over 5% share, about 31 million USD, growing at a healthy 7.0% CAGR. Brazil's the main market.
Middle East, given their energy focus.
They've got about a 2% share, around 33 million USD, growing at 7.2% CAGR. Saudi Arabia leads, and the report specifically notes sales are strong there, driven by, you guessed it, refining and petrochemicals.
Makes sense. And Africa.
Smallest share, about 1%, roughly 18 million USD, and also the slowest growth projected at 2.9% CAGR. South Africa is the biggest market there.
So globally, North America leads, Europe's strong, but Asia Pacific is really the one to watch for growth momentum.
That's definitely the picture the report paints.
Does the report touch on the companies involved, the competitive landscape? It does, briefly. Describes it as highly competitive, which you'd expect. Mentions some of the big established names.
Like who?
Air Liquide, Air Products and Chemicals, Lind. The major industrial gas players are in there.
And any recent moves highlighted.
Yeah, a couple of interesting examples showing things are still evolving. Caterpillar, for instance.
What did they do?
In June 2024, they added hydrogen-capable gas generator sets to their lineup, so adapting existing tech.
And you mentioned India's growth.
Mhm.
Anything specific there?
Yes, HydrogenCo. They apparently built India's first operational green hydrogen plant back in February 2024.
Ah, so real-world examples of that green hydrogen trend taking shape.
Exactly. Shows it's not just talk, projects are happening.
Beyond the numbers and segments, does the report get into qualitative factors, the why behind the what?
It does. It digs into drivers, restraints, trends, opportunities in more detail. And it uses some standard analytical tools,
Like SWOT or...
things like pestle analysis,
Yeah.
political, economic, social, technological, environmental, legal factors impacting the market. And Porter's 5 forces analysis, which looks at competitive rivalry, supplier power, buyer power, threat of new entrants, and substitutes, helps understand the competitive dynamics.
Standard business analysis frameworks.
Right. And interestingly, the report also includes a specific analysis section focused on the impact of Trump's tariff war on this market.
Oh. How does it approach that?
Well, it seems the authors looked at how things like policy shifts during that period, the tariffs themselves affecting supply chains, trade dynamics, tax changes, even investor confidence and environmental rules, how those might have influenced the hydrogen generator market specifically.
So it's using a past event as a case study for external impacts.
Exactly. It seems included to show how broader geopolitical and economic events can ripple through even specific tech markets. We're just relaying that the report included this historical impact analysis as part of its comprehensive look.
Got it. Not taking aside, just reporting that the analysis is in the source material.
Precise.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. If we were to boil it down, what are the main takeaways from this deep dive into the report?
Well, first, the global hydrogen generator market looks set for solid, consistent growth over the next decade or so. That 6.7% CAGR is pretty healthy.
Right. Not explosive, maybe, but definitely moving upwards.
Exactly. Second, there's this clear tension or maybe transition between the established parts of the market and the emerging growth areas.
You mean traditional methods versus the new stuff?
Yeah. Steam reforming, petroleum recovery applications, they still hold the biggest shares now. But all the fastest growth is clearly in areas tied to clean energy and flexibility.
Portable generators, electrolysis for green hydrogen, fuel cells?
Right. Those segments are where the real momentum is, according to the report.
And the third takeaway, regionally,
Regionally, while North America is the current heavyweight champ in terms of market size.
Asia-Pacific is the contender coming up fast.
Absolutely. Its growth rate suggests a potential shift in the global balance of this market over the forecast period. It's the engine room for future expansion.
We've really tried to pull back the curtain on the hydrogen generator market today, digging into the numbers, the trends, the forces at play, and how it all maps out globally, all thanks to the insights from this cognitive market research report.
Yeah, hopefully it gives you, the listener, a much clearer foundation for understanding this specific piece of the energy transition puzzle.
It really does make you think, though, doesn't it? You see that rapid growth the report highlights in green hydrogen via electrolysis and in fuel cells.
Compared to the current dominance of steam reforming and refining applications.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, how quickly could that balance actually shift? Could the fastest growing segments today, portable, electrolysis, fuel cells, actually become the largest segment sometime soon?
It's a great question. Is today's fastest growth really a preview of tomorrow's market leadership? It's definitely something to keep a close eye on as all these clean energy initiatives keep pushing forward.
Absolutely, a space to watch.